Superheroes love their pets. Shortly after Superman debuted the genre in 1938, he and his other tights and capes friends gained their own pet sidekicks, including Beppo the Super Monkey, Ace the Bat Hound, and Comet the Super Horse. Superpowered animals soon made their way onto Earth 616, including the Inhumans transporter Lockjaw and Brightwind, the Asgardian Pegasus of New Mutant Mirage. The MCU has been a bit slower to debut superpowered animals, at least as pet sidekicks. As Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 shows, animals with powers deserve their own character arcs, even if it's as small as Cosmo getting mad at being called a bad dog. These animals aren't really pets as much as they are members of the team, but that doesn't mean the MCU is lacking in actual pets. They're cute, they're weird, and occasionally deadly.
Stay.
These are the goodest boys and girls in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Ranked. At the bottom of this list is Gus the Goldfish. Gus carries very little weight as an MCU pet, because no matter how much Stephen Grant truly loves Gus, he's just a goldfish. Well, okay, Gus isn't just a goldfish, he's actually two goldfish, as Mark Spector had Gus replaced when, unbeknownst to Stephen, he took over their body. But the more you think about it, Gus and his replacement focalized the show's themes about reality and identity, an animal whose very presence challenges the primacy of existence over essence. But he's still just a goldfish. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a lot. A lot of it is good, but some aspects remain underdeveloped. That includes fan favourite Adam Warlock, who went from cosmic Jesus allegory in the comics to golden buffoon in the movies. And yet, instead of using what little room he could get to further develop Warlock, James Gunn decided to fill that space with a fuzzy sidekick called BLURP. There's no denying that BLURP is cute despite his jagged teeth. He looks like one of those weird and upsetting Muppets from Jim Henson's more experimental work. And the movie does promise more adventures, as BLURP is seen fighting alongside Warlock and the new Guardians of the Galaxy. But based on the few minutes of screen time he's had thus far, it's hard to justify BLURP taking a higher place on this list.
He is family.
When young Billy Maximoff made that plea to his mother Wanda, urging her to use her powers to save his and twin brother Tommy's pet Sparky, he was just following the beats of a very special episode sitcom. But Billy's argument in WandaVision also shows Sparky's importance, precisely because he's a creation within the as-seen on TV world that Wanda designed. Sparky lived so he could die, which in turn taught the Maximoff boys the importance of life and death. Of course, we later learn that Sparky died at the hand of Agatha Harkness, who hoped to further manipulate Wanda into using her powers. All of this would be upsetting, but Sparky has only ever served a larger thematic point. Even in his first appearance as a green synthezoid pooch envisioned by Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez-Walter, Sparky was just a part of Vision's attempts to make an ideal family for himself. And as in WandaVision, Sparky dies in outrageous circumstances, proving Vision's goals to be simply unattainable. So while Sparky may indeed be a good dog, he's less of a pet and more of a thematic metaphor. Speaking of pets who live to die, it's Anthony. Like most pet owners, Scott Lang immediately imposed his own anthropocentric perspective onto Anthony and Ant-Man, giving the Carpenter Ant a name and a mission, moving sugar into a cup of coffee. And Anthony did serve as Scott's mount, giving him something to ride while infiltrating Darren Cross's lab to retrieve the Yellow Jacket suit. But really, the most important thing Anthony did was die. Anthony's death does inspire Scott to fully embrace his heroic role, coming from feelings that Scott reads onto Anthony, feelings that are in no way reciprocated by the insect. But that still makes him more interesting than Gus. The idea of Loki but an alligator is funny. It's right up there with Throg as a great idea. He pops up as one of the many Loki variants in the Void, the nether region occupied by those trimmed from the sacred timeline by the TVA. But Alligator Loki immediately gets overshadowed by other Lokis, especially Richard E. Grant's glorious classic Loki. So why is he ranked so high? Because Alligator Loki is a pretty good joke. Also, his Marvel Comics run is some of the best and cutest stuff they've ever produced. Please read it if you get a chance. While poor doomed Sparky gets dropped to the bottom half of this list, his bunny co-star from WandaVision, Senor Scratchy, gets to kick off the top half. Given what Scratchy actually does in the series, sit there and be cute, this may seem controversial. Yeah, he does get to hop out of Vision's hat when the Synthezoid's magic trick goes awry, and yeah, he does eat a bird tossed into his mouth during Agatha's big reveal. But really, the bunny just does bunny things. At least that's what he wants you to think. In the same way that Agatha appeared to be an irritating neighbour straight out of cheesy sitcoms but was in fact a powerful witch, Senor Scratchy is not the innocent furball he appears to be. After all, look at his name. Why would you use the name Scratchy to describe something that nibbles? It makes no sense for a bunny, but it does for the Prince of Evil himself, Lucifer, aka the Devil. That's right, Senor Scratchy is in fact the devil. Or at least the MCU version, Mephisto. That's a theory anyway. We shouldn't be surprised to see one of the most intimidating pets in the MCU at the side of one of its most dangerous villains.
I've missed you.
Fenris the wolf with Asgardian terror Hela. Like most of the animals on this list, Fenris spends most of Thor Ragnarok sitting around. But when you're a massive wolf, sitting around is enough to intimidate Asgardians into doing Hela's bidding. When Fenris actually does get into the action, it's even more impressive. First charging Asgardian refugees on the Rainbow Bridge, and then going into battle with the Hulk. Of course, the Hulk defeats Fenris, sending her over the waterfall into space, but she does manage to pierce old Jade Jaws' hide. As a magical citizen of the mythical city Tarlo, Morris helps Shang-Chi warn the citizens about the coming attack by his father Wenwu. Of course, Morris followed the lead of his newest master, Trevor Slattery, and played dead instead of helping the heroes during their climactic battle against Wenwu. But Morris knows that discretion is the better part of valor, something he surely learned from Slattery, whose Shakespeare was the toast of Croydon. Really though, Morris's appeal lies mostly in his look. He resembles nothing so much as a fuzzy pillow with two pairs of eagle wings. He flitters around and nuzzles his buddy Trevor, who respects his sensitivity about not having a mouth. Even if Shang-Chi and Katie are initially disturbed by Morris's visuals, no one else can deny his cuteness. Why does Loki make it all the way to the number 2 spot on this list? After all, while he does help Kate Bishop fight off a member of the Tracksuit Mafia, he mostly just hangs around the Hawkeyes and eats pizza. But when you're a very good dog like Loki, that's enough. Loki's presence underscores the grounded, street-level nature of the Hawkeye series, where previous entries made a virtue out of the fact that Clint Barton was just a normal guy with a bow and arrows amidst gods and alien invaders. Hawkeye puts the avenging archer down on the streets of New York City amidst the dirty brown and yellow snow. Every time Loki munched down on a slice of pizza, he reminded viewers of the central appeal of Marvel heroes: superpowered beings living in the real world. If you're a cat person, be pleased that Captain Marvel's Goose comes out on top. But here's the thing, Goose isn't even a cat. She's a flirkin. So while she might be cute enough to reduce the hardened Nick Fury to a pile of coos, Goose terrifies the sympathetic Skrull Talos, and with good reason, as Goose releases her full Flurkin abilities when she rescues Fury and Maria Rambeau from Kree attackers by capturing them in her tentacles and swallowing them. And if the tentacles weren't scary enough, Goose proves that she's like a cat in attitude as well as look, clawing Fury's eye just because she can. If you're a Marvel Snap player, you probably have strong feelings for or against Goose, but there's no denying that no other pet has won battles for its owner like Goose. No other pet has decided the fate of the universe like Goose. And if the trailer for the Marvels is to be believed, she's going to do the same for Ms. Marvel, resulting in a charming power duo. At least until she swallows a whole platoon with her tentacles. Much more helpful than Gus. Read more stories like this one at denofgeek.com and tune into Marvel Standom for the latest Marvel coverage. Thanks for watching!